Okay. I'm freezing out here. Leslie Little Plazz, Zazoo Plazz. Back from my weekly report, January 14th, 2024. About 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday when I usually do my reports. And I'm a little freaked out because I'm here in my usual spot, my nighttime spot, and the trees are squeaking. They're actually creaking. Trees creak. Very creepy. I'm going to try to adjust my light here so maybe it's not so much glare on me. Maybe over there. Is that better? Oh, that's better. Oh, yeah, that's much better. See me better now? Still hear me? Okay. Get to school over here. The stars are amazing. I'm looking at the stars tonight. They are beautiful. Maybe I can get some of them in there. See? I don't know. It probably just looks like dark to you, but yeah, it's amazing. Everybody in my house, my Gray just took off with my son Zach. He's going back to college. So the kid took off in his Miata, and Dad follows him with the minivan stocked to the gills with the guitar and the clothes and the books and not so much books, but all of his like speakers, and I'm like, does this kid I suppose he has a laptop, but all the stuff, the skateboards and a bag full of his Christmas presents that he got from us. I gave him some, well, a lot of them he used up over Christmas break. I got him some Vermont, Green Mountain, Vermont coffee cups because his girlfriend goes to college in Vermont. So he used up most of those, but I got him a cool blanket with guitars screen printed on it, like a cool fiery guitar pattern. So that's for his bedroom at school. And what else did I got him? Like a American national parks sketchbook thing, which is pretty cool. And now a bunch of other. We sent him back with a bunch of food stuff for his place, and But it seemed to me like when I used to go back to college, I had a lot more stuff. But being a girl, it's different. But it seemed to me that our college breaks weren't as long. They seemed shorter, but maybe that's because I was the student and not the parent. Maybe my brain thinks it's really long. Really? All right. I don't know why it's doing this, but it's the third time that this thing has switched me off tonight. All right. So this is kind of weird. Maybe do I just need to get a new phone here? Why is it doing that? Why is it switching me off? All right. I'm going to try to get this done. Maybe it's the cold, but this is like the third video that I've started. I may have to splice them all together. I don't know. All right. I'm going to try this again, January 14th, 2024. This thing keeps switching me off. It keeps going to selfie mode. I don't know why. Maybe it's the cold, but I cleaned the phone, everything. I'm going to start this again. I hope this time it lasts. So, like I was saying in the last video, I'm going to try to splice these together, but I don't know how it's going to work. I'll just keep doing them. So my son, he's going back to college today. He says, before he leaves, he says, Mom, by the way, I need a little pot. I said, what? He says, yeah, I have this little clipping I've been, sprouting, and I need to plant it in something. I said, oh, That kind of pot. 'Cause- okay, so like to my Gen X ears, I was like, really? Like, but I mean, like we have CBD places on every corner. Like this kid, he's not that kind of kid. He's. I mean, how do I know? But it seems to me that this generation, they're not as into stuff that like the boomers were into, and I mean I didn't, I I wasn't into that either. But it was just kind of funny the way it came out. He wants a little pot, okay. It used to be a thing, whatever. Yeah. So the readings today. Oh, I mean the big thing that's on my horizon, other than the fact that I'm freezing out here and my phone keeps switching off on me. So this might be a short one until I figure out what the heck is going on with my phone. Maybe I touched it by mistake. So far so good. Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like back to business time, The big thing that's coming up astrologically, the sun and Pluto are going to be conjunct. Like that means the sun is going to be lined up exactly with Pluto, the two planets. Sun is considered a planet in astrology. But the first day of Aquarius, like January 20th, 21st, somewhere around there. So one day, first the sun's going to pass it and go into Aquarius from Capricorn, and then Pluto's going to go from Capricorn into Aquarius. And so this is like a huge deal, because Pluto moves very slowly. It takes 250 years about for Pluto to go all the way around the zodiac, right? Come back to where it started. The last time was like, around when, the United States, first was born around 1776, kind of somewhere around there. So we're having our Pluto return, but, this is a big deal. So people, if your sun or you have planets in any of the other planets, it's good to, I've been considering how is this going to hit all my other planets, because you have, oppositions and you have squares, which is like, 90 degrees, and then you have 180 degrees, and they all your planets in your astrological chart get hit in different ways, and Aquarius is a universal energy. It's a cosmic energy. It's, not quite to the level of Pisces, but it's almost there. It's kind of like we're all, all of us are, one big community. It's a very futuristic energy, it's future looking, it's space, it's social media, it's, people across the world becoming friends, or people in the, next state or, 1,000 miles away. And that's the energy, it's away from, like Capricorn has to do with all the big institutions, the big government, the big boss. And Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is like, the quirky individualist, the mad inventor in the basement. So, anyway, yeah. So I'm looking at the readings today to bounce off of, and it's that song. Samuel, the book of Samuel in the Old Testament, where he says the one who keeps hearing voices. It's God calling, but he thinks it's like his teacher Eli. Eli is that's Yale here in Connecticut. But so he keeps saying, did you ever have like you think that your mom was calling you when you were a kid? Sometimes, I mean, she's been gone mine for almost 3 years, but like if I'm in a store and I hear mom, I hear a kid calling mom. I'm like, I always look, because you get, it's, once a mom, always a mom. You think they're calling you. And then sometimes I could swear I hear somebody calling, Les, like it's my mom. And I'm like, what? Or, if you live with somebody, you have a husband, a wife, you say, hey, did you call me? And you think you heard somebody, right? And they're like, no, I didn't call you. What do you? And then you go back to sleep. Sometimes when you're dreaming, right? This is what happened to me. He was dreaming, this kid, this teenager, young adult, whatever. He's dreaming. You ever have a dream? This happens to me all the time. Where I'm in the dream and someone's calling me. Someone's calling my name in the dream. It's happened. And I wake up with a jolt, right? It's like, who's calling me? And I would look around and there's nobody here. What? It's, somebody called. No, and it's that voice in your inner ear saying, hey, what? And that's happened where I've heard somebody call my name and I thought, oh, is it my mother calling? It almost sounded like my mother calling me, but it wasn't, right? It's this voice. It sounds like a human voice, but it's not. It's God. It's somebody calling you, right? You're being summoned. That was many years ago. I started having that feeling. So, it's sort of dramatized in the Bible, but that's the kind of experience you have when you're being called to something, a cause bigger than yourself, which is what Aquarius is about. It's being called to service. So that's what he says. Finally, his teacher says, I know what's happening. So would you have a guide or somebody who's, a little bit beyond where you are? And they say, like my mother was that person for me. If I had that experience, I'd go, this is that, what's the deal? And, maybe she'd tell me, maybe she wouldn't. But now I have, people who I follow and spiritual, types who, they talk about these things, or I read books and I find out that, oh, okay, that's what was going on. I forget. The thing is, we're not used to, we think we're crazy when we start hearing voices. Because that's what society has always told us, right? The cuckoos in the movies, they're always the ones who hear the voices, right? Because people don't want to know that you have, abilities like that. I had to be careful as a kid. If I heard things or whatever, I'd write them down. My mother was really the only person I could talk to about these things, because she was like that, But, you just couldn't go around telling your friends, it was rare that you could have a friend, and I actually have one. But she's, it's the one normal friend I have from childhood. We don't talk about that stuff. She'll say, I don't know if I totally believe that. But, then I have other people, I talk to online now that we have social media. Groups I belong to, where you can talk about that stuff, which is awesome. And then you don't feel so crazy, right? And then I have people I talk to about Gen X stuff. I sort of have like different, sides of myself. But, that's what the kind of readings were about. God wasn't, he's looking for simple people who have simple lives that aren't cluttered. See, you got to get rid of that if you want to get the good stuff. If you want to get, messages and things. You want to be called to something higher than yourself. You have to get rid of all those lower things that keep you stuck. Sad to say, but when the apostles went and followed Jesus, they had to leave stuff behind, right? They had to leave it. They had to leave it behind. And just take with them those things that, were pure, were simple, were, enabled them to focus on their teaching and their they're getting the word out, right? That Jesus came to talk about, which was a new world, right? That is, now we're closer than ever to. That's why we're here. But, you know, it's now, it's still kind of hard to go around saying that you hear voices and not have people look at you like you've got two heads. But, you know, God just wants us to listen, right? And then do what we came here to do. Because it talks about, in the readings, it being written in the scrolls. It is prescribed for me. So that's our soul contract that we sign before we come onto the planet here. And you know, when they say written in the scrolls, that's what they mean. The scrolls, it was basically our soul contract that our soul signed up for. It's just that when we come down here, we forget about it, right? We have to remember. We have to remember what our business was. It's kind of like you go on a business trip, right? And you write up your whole itinerary before you go, right? You take your flight, and when you get there, you realize you left your itinerary back in the office in the old days when we didn't have, the internet stuff. Say you lost your, internet connection or whatever. Now you have had everything on your phone, and you can't use it. Say your phone, there's no Wi-Fi where you are, right? No connection. You've lost your connection to your sole purpose, right? You're like, I can't even call my office to see, what am I supposed to be doing here? And I forgot the person I'm supposed to meet. My number, everything was in that phone. I don't have it. In the old days, when we had to have paper everything, say you left your paper maps, you had a nice folder with all your maps and your itineraries, right? And you leave it in the office or on the plane, and you get where you're going, you're screwed. That's kind of like what we are. We're on this planet, we landed here. We come naked baby, right? Nothing. We have no clue. And we can't remember, right? Because you didn't memorize all that stuff. And if you did, it's like you have amnesia. You can't remember. It's like you've got to start from the beginning. So some of us take longer than others to remember what they came here for. That's Plazz. Anyway, so then let's see, where are we? Oh, so then the gospel today was Jesus picking his apostles, and one of the first ones he picks is Peter, Cephas, which in Aramaic, or I guess in Greek it means, or Aramaic, it means a rock, or Pierre in French is the same thing, rock. So he was the first pope. Jesus built his foundation, squeak, on Peter, right? Because he was that one friend. Oh, the trees are squeaking at me. He was that one friend that he could talk to. All right, here I am. This is like the fourth time I'm doing this. I don't know what's going on. Some creepy energy out here. Keeps taking me out of video into selfie mode, and I can't figure out how to switch it off. Maybe because of the cold. Maybe I just need a new phone. Anyway, Zazoo Plazz back. So here I was talking about Jesus picking the apostles, right? And then there's this Peter guy, and then I said, so he's the one Jesus is going to build the foundation on, right? The whole rock of his, because you need that. Whether you're going to write a book or anything, right? It helps to have a few people around that you can, bounce things off of. People who can, you go and do this while I'm doing this. You need a ringleader, and then you need people, in your village who can help you out. Because, you can't do it alone. Even Jesus knew that, right? He knew he was going to need people who were going to keep things going when he was gone, right? It's sad we just lost another found out we lost another member of our high school class at the end of December. And he was a kid from the same town that I grew up in. And he had a twin sister who was also in our class. And it was really sad because, it happened right like a month after our reunion. He didn't go because I guess they said he had been sick. But he had a very successful roofing company here in Connecticut. Very successful, family, had a couple kids, I think daughters maybe. And it's very sad because his father died a year before him. His father, who was in his 80s, died in 2022, and then this year he died, 58 years old. It was so sad. I mean, my dad, I wouldn't have known because I don't read the paper anymore, even the online paper. My dad texts me, so I know when I hear from my dad, that it's either somebody died or he wants to know when the food is going to be served for the holidays. Those two reasons I usually hear from my dad. And I said, oh God, no, who died? And I look at my phone, oh geez, because he goes to church, and people's, they announce things at church, or, he reads the obituaries, see if there's anybody that he knows in there. But anyway, so that's what happened. But it was sad because I was thinking, who's going to carry on his business, after he's gone, this guy? The way he carried on his father's business, So hopefully he, named somebody in his will who thinks that, I guess you would think about that if you had a successful business like your succession, but, not usually, not this young. Maybe once you turn 65 or something. But what is going on? Because, 58 to me seems really young. I guess it used to seem a lot older, but not now. Anyway, people leaving, things leaving now seems to be a big theme, and us leaving behind things, and it makes you think of what's important, what is really important to me. And I'm going through that right now. Of course, I've got my Saturn return coming up at 29 and a half, and 58, you have that, 58 and a half, So you got to make some hard decisions. Well, it's not so hard once you get to be 58, because you get to know what's important, right? Because you've been through so much, and you've survived so much, and you realize what you need and what you can do without. And that goes for people. So you realize your strength in yourself, I think. So we got Peter, and so I thought, oh, Peter Cetera, right? From Chicago, the band. Love his music. Now, if you want to listen to a heart-wrenching ballad that's going to take you back to the late 70s, 80s, when we were growing up, we Gen Xers, nothing better than Peter Cetera. I mean, it just takes you right. But this particular song it was July 30th, 1976. It was a single. It was one of the only non-disco songs that got a lot of radio play. If You Leave Me Now, Peter Cetera, 1976. I was 10, and then 2 weeks over my birthday, November 76, it hit number 1 in the Billboard. So that was that. It won a Grammy, a couple Grammys, I think. So Peter Cetera, what a voice! All the songs he had, and even in movies in the 80s, I couldn't really decide, but I thought this one was perfect. I suppose it's a love song about somebody who's, lover is leaving them, and, thinking that, their heart was being, torn apart. Something that's the biggest part of me. He says, if you leave me, take the biggest part of me. And it kind of reminds me, that's what Peter was. What Jesus was building, Peter was that biggest part. He was that rock, right? So for some people, they have, the love of their lives or whatever. He sings a lot about that. Peter Cetera. It's, you feel like if that person goes, if this person dies, or this job goes away, or this thing that's the biggest part of, it's who will I be without this, it's, and really what it is whatever that thing is, it's a substitute for our connection to God, to Source Spirit, right? That's what we've been wrenched away from. Is we're just renting here on earth. We don't, nothing is meant to last forever. But we're brought up to think that, to expect that, right? So when we're abandoned, or we think we have these these things that we go through, and it reminds us of the being wrenched away from God, from the womb, from the spirit, where everything is one, and then we get bounced out here. We're standing in the cold in school lot, talking to ourselves on the phone that keeps going into selfie mode, and then it's a very cold, dark place. But I got my little light here. We find a way, and you find by liking yourself, by coming to know yourself, and knowing what your purpose is here, and like clearing the passages, like my nose. I'm clearing the passages because I was all stuffed up, and I realized if I don't do my neti pot, I get these sinus infections, and then I can't smell stuff. And when I can't smell stuff, I eat stuff that's bad for me. And I can't use my sniffer to discern things. So I did a good flushing out, and now I'm sort of getting back to normal. But boy, it was a couple days this weekend. I was out. I was just flat out. Yesterday wasn't a good day, but today I feel much better. And so what do? I go out in the cold. Don't worry, I'm good. I had some tomato soup and saltines and a little ginger ale, and I'm right as rain. Rum toddy, and I should be all set. Tie a sweaty sock around my throat. Whatever. Old remedies. But I don't know if it's going to switch me off here. I got to go home and make, I think might make a chicken burrito bowl. I had shrimp, but I think I'm going to go with the chicken. Wow, it's the Big Dipper. I got to figure out what's going on with this phone. It might be the cold that's making it switch off. Maybe, it's just time for me to shut up and go inside. So anyway, yeah, get rid of whatever's got you stuffed up, and figure out what you can leave and what you want to take. Because you can't take everything. Got to travel light. And find your tribe. It's gonna be a good ride. So here we go. Till next week, Zazoo Plazz. And the creaky trees. Signing out. Take care. Stay warm. Bye-bye.